Alrighty. Good evening. It is now 11:32 p.m., Wednesday, December 7th, 2022, and this is a regular City Commission meeting of the City of West Miami. This meeting is called to order. For the invocation.
Let's bow our heads this evening and thank God for the many blessings bestowed upon our city throughout the year. We thank God for our leaders. We thank God for allowing us to come together as the end of the year approaches. And we thank God for the privilege of being part of public service. We pray for the Villalobos family at this time, for the recent loss and tragic death of his niece. And we pray so that him and his family may find comfort and during these very difficult moments in his life. We pray for our servicemen and women, our police officers and first responders, so that they are able to continue to protect and serve the residents of the city and return home from duty safely. As we await our holiday celebrations and a new year, we pray for world peace, unity, health, and we pray for all of our city employees and all the residents of our city. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Please stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Item 3, roll call. Mayor Eric Diaz-Padrón.
Here.
Vice Mayor Juan M. Blanes.
Present.
Commissioner Candida Blanca.
Yes.
Commissioner Iván Chavez Jr.
Here.
Commissioner Luciana Suarez.
Yes.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, presentation of minutes for approval for November 16, 2022, regular commission meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, public comments, and for public comments, Mr. Mayor, we have Carlos David Escobar. Please approach the podium. Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, state what for the record?
Your
Name
name
and
and
address.
name and address.
Name and address, Carlos David Escobar, 6750 Southwest 16th Terrace. I'm sorry, I've given that incorrectly, haven't I? I'm sorry.
6270?
No, no.
6270?
6270 Southwest 16th Terrace, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Miami, Florida. Good evening. I just want to say thank you to our fine commissioners, the mayor, the city manager, city attorney, and all public workers that help make our city run the way it is. I've noticed that in the year and a half that I've been here, I've noticed our great how taken care of, how well represented we are. I also want to thank our officers who, of course, serve to protect us. And also under the advisement of Commissioner, I also want to formally say that I'm interested in participating in the board of Parks and Rec, I believe it is.
Go ahead.
So Carlos came to the last meeting, and afterwards we spoke. He moved in about a year and a half ago, wants to get more involved, hence why he's coming to the meetings now. And so we asked him to introduce himself formally and say that he wants to get involved. And at some point we'll see where we can fit you in.
I love it.
Perfect, thank you. That is
Yeah.
all. Thank you.
I was sitting there not too long ago, so just trying to get involved. So I cherish the opportunities that I had. So let's be sure to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else for public comment? Registered?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Is anyone in the audience for public comment? Seeing none. Next item.
Item 6, report of the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. I don't have a written report, but I want to cover a couple of things verbally. I'll go as fast as I can.
Please do.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to wish everyone here a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a fantastic start for 2023. A lot of health and peace, as I said during invocation. my office has been working with the mayor on obtaining a permit from the Miami-Dade County Public School System for the parking, for our upcoming lighting of the tree ceremony, which takes place on Wednesday of next week, and for future events. And for those contacts and the leads, I believe the mayor has reached out to our new school board member. So thank you, Mayor, and I've already been in touch with them today.
Beautiful.
The next item is Mr. Penna, the city engineer, and I, as well as Robert Ruano, the grant writer, have been involved in attending a two-day webinar put on by the United States Environmental Protection Agency for the actual administration and the guidances provided by the federal government. As you know, the mayor has worked diligently with our Congresswoman's office, Maria Elvira Salazar, in obtaining $3 million towards the potable water improvements. And so it looks like the funding is now there earmarked for the city of West Miami, and we're now learning on how to navigate with their system and their guidances so that we can draw down those dollars as we get closer to doing the final quadrant of the city. So that's, we have a 3-day seminar. Tomorrow is the 3rd day seminar. And so we're gonna have to go back to that because it's very complex. And more on that in a separate email with some specific information. The lighting of the tree ceremony flyer, I've put one in front of you. The sponsors are all in the, they're featured in your flyer. As of this afternoon, I have a report from my assistant. We have received a total of $5,750 in donations. We estimate that the expenses will be $12,540 to put the event together. That includes decorations, manpower, overtime, printing, the carnival rides. And so we are factoring everything that could potentially cost money to the city. So it looks like the event is going to come in a little bit under $7,000, which we're charging to the Recreation Center Special Events account. So I will give you a final report at the end of the event, but I think we did well with donations. The next item, I want to remind the mayor and the city commissioners that we have an Arbor Day event. It's part of our Tree City designation on Friday of this coming week, the day after tomorrow, at 11:30 in the morning at Cooper Park, and it is a planting of the tree yearly event. We have calendared you on this event. Please take a few minutes of your time to be there. It's important. I think we're sending a message on how important maintaining our trees and planting the right trees in the right place.
Yeah,
are
to
gonna
interrupt
be.
you, Commissioner Cabrera will also be attending.
Thank you. We'll make sure we have him recognized at the event. I would like to invite the mayor and city commission to walk through the front of the community center. The walkway is coming along. The finishes on the floor are in a portion of the area. I think you will be very pleased with that end result there, and the fountain is being built as we speak. I don't know whether they finished it, but it's starting to look really nice there. So I think we're gonna have a very pleasant entrance to the community center. The other item that I wanted to report is we received a response on the request for qualifications for the Urban Forestry Grant Program. And this program funds 50% of the citywide study for right-of-way trees. And so once we're done with this report, we can have a roadmap as to what we're going to do with planting trees in the right place, identifying those trees that are more intrusive to the city, and basically have a game plan on how we're going to address those over time. So we're very excited. We're going to be meeting on Friday afternoon Mr. Penna will be, the city engineer and our grants writer are gonna be heading up that committee, and we'll be receiving recommendations on that, for the vendors that have, expressed or submitted their qualifications. And I think we have an item for tonight as a result of the, Recreation Advisory Board that just met this evening under Chairperson Ivan Chavez Jr., Commissioner. We need to set a date for a groundbreaking ceremony for the Wellness Center for sometime late January. So I didn't want us to leave tonight's meeting without addressing that, at least on a tentative note. That concludes my report, and I want to thank all the employees of the city and our department directors and all those who labor for the greater good of the city. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a very blessed and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Let's do this. Let's set a tentative date for the groundbreaking, and then we will skip ahead briefly and take our recognition. That way, all of you that want to go home after May, and then we'll get back to the boring stuff. So let's pick a date for the tentative groundbreaking over here on the topic. You said January?
Yes, January,
I have a calendar that goes to December, so I'm gonna play
okay,
by night.
so, Penna? Based on what you know today regarding the plans, do you think that we will be ready the third week of January for the groundbreaking? What date of the week, Mr. Mayor, is there a preference on the part of the commission, and we will adapt to your schedules?
Commissioner Chavez, do you have a preference?
The third week of January, I can't do Tuesday or Friday, but any other day is fine with me.
Okay, yeah, let's make sure to conform to his schedule because he has the most limited because of shift.
We have a meeting on the 18th, if that makes sense, maybe a daytime groundbreaking.
Mhm.
Does that work?
Perfect.
What day is that?
That is a Wednesday. That is a regular scheduled commission meeting, but we could have a daytime event for the groundbreaking.
The 18th?
Yes.
Okay,
10:30 in the morning?
sounds good.
Okay. We will calendar that as a tentative, and then Mr. Penna will talk to the contractor and to make sure that everyone is on board.
Perfect.
Thank you very
Alrighty.
much.
10:30. Let's briefly jump over some of the items. I know we have some corrective action plan stuff, and I know we have some unfinished business, but let's briefly skip over to item A, Madam Clerk, new business.
Yes, item 11 under new business agenda items, item 11A, presentation of recognition to Sergeant Elvis Borrego and Officer Lázaro Caruz for serving on the West Coast in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian.
Commissioner Chavez, I think that was your item.
Yeah, so I briefly wanted to touch on this because one of the first things that people recognize when they move into our community is that anything that happens at their home, the officers that we have are there within a minute and a half, 2 minutes. They swore to protect and serve our community and our citizens. But what these two officers, Sergeant Borrego and Officer Caruz, did is they went above and beyond the call of duty, and they went in the time of need when Hurricane Ian struck the West Coast. They left their families for 2 days, for 2 weeks, and they did that without even hesitating. So I felt that needed a recognition. Our police officers deserve recognition on a day in and day out basis, but this specific instance I felt needed to be highlighted specifically. So I wanted to thank you guys for that service.
Absolutely. Before we come and take a picture, I want to personally thank you guys. I know we have a short memory in life, and we don't remember some tragedies if we are not personally affected by them. But I'm sure all the families there are still picking up pieces, and that those 2 days there probably made a big difference for a lot of people in some ways that are going to be lasting. So I appreciate you all. I'm sure the residents of our city appreciate you all for a daily basis, but especially on volunteering for this. So I appreciate you guys. Let's go up to the presentation. Yep. Vice Mayor, go ahead. 2 weeks. Did I say 2 days? Oh. You know, the problem is up here when someone says something, you pick up the word. Yeah, no, I knew it was 2 weeks, but I heard days and I heard days. It's late. It's 7:30. Let's do this. Even I apologize. Let's scrap the record, my clerk. Make sure the minutes show weeks for Commissioner Chavez's too.
Duly noted.
Mr. Chief, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and Commission, Madam Manager. So, both Sergeant Borrego and Officer Cruz were commended by the department, and we thank you so kindly for taking the time to also go ahead and commend these officers for their dedication, selflessness, and to volunteer to deploy. This was really surprised that Borrego volunteered. You know, that's something that a young man might get involved in. I really respect that from him. These guys had to live in some really messed up quarters and basically, if you will, live off the land, if you will, trying to get food in, and you got to give it to the citizens, and the conditions were severe, and these guys really deserve this. I'm really proud of them. Want to come up? Does somebody want to read the plaque, or
Yes.
do you have anything to say? Would you like to say anything?
Just want to say that I was honored to represent the city of West Miami, and it was a very humbling experience, and to say the least. And again, I was honored to represent the city over in the West Coast.
Thank you.
Likewise.
They should come together too.
Certificate of recognition presented to Sergeant Elvis Borrego, the city mayor, the city commission, the city of West Miami, honor the commitment to civic responsibility and communal welfare. On this occasion, we express our most heartfelt thank you for your support and selflessness and volunteering your time 2 weeks to the west coast of Florida for 2 weeks under hostile conditions to assist the neighboring police department of the city of Fort Myers in the African Hurricane Community. Dated the 7th day of December 2022. Mayor Eric Tigron, Vice Mayor Juan Blanes, Commissioner Ivan Chavez Jr., Commissioner Kanda Blanca, Commissioner Luciano Flores. Thank you.
So next up, we have a certificate of recognition presented to Officer Lázaro Cruz. The mayor and the city commission of the city of West Miami honor the commitment to civic responsibility and communal welfare. On this occasion, we express our most heartfelt thank you for your support and selflessness in volunteering your time to the west coast of Florida for 2 weeks under hostile conditions to assist the neighboring police department of the city of Fort Myers in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. Dated this 7th day of December 2022. Mayor Eric Tigron, Commissioner Candida Blanca, Vice Mayor Juan Blanes, Commissioner Luciano Flores, and Commissioner Ivan Chavez.
Can we get a picture with the chief, the major, and get the officers there? More important than the.
Come on, guys.
White lens, panoramic. Thank you.
Oye, tú acabaste con la casa, ¿no? Todavía.
Unfortunately, nothing else on this agenda is as,
Mr. Mayor.
almost as important, but let's keep going.
yeah,
So let's
if
go
I
back
may- yeah,
to the
Miss-
order of the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and as of now, items 10C and D is, 10C is a request for mitigation, and Mr.
Yes,
Zarate?
let's take that out of order if we can.
Yes, no, Mr. Zarate is not present,
Oh,
so
okay.
we would like to request
Deferral?
to defer these two items, item C and D, and item 11F, which is a resolution for the 10-year capital improvement.
All in favor of, this is indefinite, right? All in
Yes.
favor of
Yes.
indefinitely, well, let's get a motion.
I'll make a motion to defer those items.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to defer items C, D, and F indefinitely. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And while we're taking things out of order, and I, traditionally like doing this, but I know there's some more in-depth discussion on corrective plan and on this bid. I know we have another, which is you anyways, this, it is it's a variance, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if we could take,
Yes, let's skip over some of the, we'll come back to the order of the agenda on the reports, but let's skip over to item A of unfinished business. Item B.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, item 10, under unfinished business, item 10A. This is a request for appeal of variance application before the Planning and Zoning Board to build a swimming pool within the required 10 feet rear and side yard setback of the property at the property located at 5739 Southwest 12th Street, West Miami, Florida. The pool, if allowed, would have a rear and side yard setback, a given point of 5 feet to the rear and side property line where 10 feet is required. Property has a 6 feet concrete wall, fence on the side and rear yards. Zoning ordinance 282, section 4, section 11.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this was heard before the zoning board, and just to give you a little bit of history on that property is an old house here that burned, I would say, December 24th of 2020 or maybe 2019 before that.
2019.
And since that time, the property has been demolished, the land is clear and sold to the gentleman, Mr. Rodriguez. He is in the process of rebuilding the property. The first thing that he would like to do is install the pool. However, he's also planning for a two-story addition, construction for the main house. The zoning board, at that time when they heard it, they voted against it because the existing house is not there. However, we have allowed this setback in other situations where the house is built. There is no difference, I guess, for him to build the house now and then come back, but he would have to tear through what he just built in order to build the swimming pool. He's here tonight to appeal their decision. It does require a 4/5 vote of the city commission.
Before their attorney and them come up, when you said to tear through what they currently have, what do you mean by that?
If they were to build the two-story house first and then the pool, they would have to go through the brand-new construction in order to build.
Okay, got it. Good to see you. Name and address for the record, please.
Likewise. David Moscoso, 824 Northwest 23rd Court. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Madam Clerk, Madam Manager, and a special good evening to you, City Attorney. Just want to start before kind of I do my presentation or or my pitch on this variance matter. Just want to say first that I join you all in continuing to keep the city attorney in our prayers and his family in our prayers throughout this very difficult time. And I just want to say that, you know, you are in my thoughts and in my family's thoughts as well as in our prayers. So the item that we're here to discuss is a variance, as was just described. The variance is for a 5-foot setback on the rear and the side, so that a pool can be built and added to the plan for this house. First, I just want to say, you know, the purpose of a variance really, for me, is to provide an exception when the code does not provide. And as somebody who really, really, really respects the quality of life as well as the code for the city of West Miami, I want to say that it's something that should be taken in very, very serious consideration and after much thought. In particular, at a time when, you know, variances and the subject of zoning has been the subject of some controversy in Miami-Dade County, it's important that cities like West Miami continue to lead the charge in protecting the quality of life that residents have come to know and respect and really value. So I just want to say that I would not be here representing a client that, you know, was seeking a variance that was going to, in my belief, detrimentally impact the value of the city of West Miami's code. So the variance sought is a setback variance. The purpose and the intended development that my client has is to build a single-family home. And the purpose of that single-family home is not as an investment tool to make profit or to do anything that is in line in keeping with what you know, the all-fearing developer often brings to communities like West Miami that have made such great strides and efforts in protecting and leading the way in terms of its code and protecting the beauty and the character of its integrity of its neighborhoods. So that's one point that I wanted to make sure that I got across. The family, that my client, is going to live in this home. You know, this is not about building a nice house in a neighborhood. It's about building a home in a city that values homes. The property owner will be living there with 5 other people. And so the reason why we've requested this variance is so that we can build a pool that will allow for these 6 individuals to be able to share time together as a family within the home. Further, granting the variance creates the ability for the property owner to have 10 feet between the boundary of his building at the home and the commencement of the pool. And so for children, for people who may not be expert swimmers, for people who might be fearful of the water, it's important to have some space between, you know, your kitchen window and a pool and clearance to be able to walk by in safety without the fear of I might fall in, or what if the kids fall in when we're not around and they're running around in the backyard. And I also want to say that the property owner in this instance has, I think, started aptly by taking the community into consideration and building a wall so that there are no neighbors or neighbors' children, more importantly, neighbors' pets as well, running into this pool as a result of, you know, just kind of running around the neighborhood and there's a pool that's supposed to be 5 feet beyond the actual boundary. So I just wanted to kind of illustrate that point as well. So a smaller pool would make it difficult, much more difficult, for the family to kind of enjoy this home together. You know, it would be, well, there's 2 people in the pool, so the, you know, 3rd person or the 4th person can't come in, and I think that is something for you all commissioners to take into account when we're thinking about what we want to promote, you know, in terms of family values and the kind of families that we want to move into our neighborhood. We want them to have the full experience of being residents of West Miami. And moreover, you know, in this case, this lot is irregularly sized. It's the smallest lot on the block. This isn't a huge lot. It's a 5,000 plus square foot lot, sub 6,000 square foot lot. There's a 10,000 square foot lot next to it, a 7,000 square foot lot on the other side. So in order for it to be able to enjoy the same kind of quality that their neighbors have in terms of the quality of life, a variance here would be appropriate, especially when weighed against the detriment conferred to the community, which is a loss of 5 feet in the rear setback. It's not going to create anything unsightly for the neighbors. There haven't been any comments provided by the neighbors to suggest that they stand in opposition to the granting of this variance. And so I ask for you all tonight to overturn the decision made by the Planning and Zoning Board, and to grant this variance so that this family can continue to develop a home that will last not just for the current residents, but also the future residents, their children as well, and continue into, enfolding and embracing the community of West Miami. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Penna, I think this is questions for you. There was notice that went out, obviously, to all the neighbors, right, about this process?
500 radius feet.
So sideways, backwards, so especially backwards, right, because that's where the
Correct.
setback is really getting eaten in. And like the attorney mentioned, you can confirm that no one came to the planning and zoning meeting, no one
Nobody
complained.
registered any objection.
Open it up to questions from the board.
Not so much a question, just more than a comment.
Questions, concerns, you have the floor.
I agree with everything that the attorney stated. As I mentioned in the meeting where this topic came up in the past, right now it's an empty lot. You look all around our neighborhood, you see beautiful homes being built. This is going to be similar to that. And more important than that is it's for a family that's going to be invested in our community. They're investing their dollars in our community to make it more beautiful. They want to raise their children here. So I have no problem at all overturning this decision because I feel that it's going to be a beautiful home for a family that's invested in our community. I don't see any danger to the community or anything of that nature to hold up this decision.
Does anyone else have any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, I'll just state my piece. This one's tricky just only because, of the legal framework of a variance, right? That hardship that has to exist. And that being said, the flip side, I mean, there's arguments you can make on both sides, right? So, like you said, if they had built the structure, right, already, and they'd come for the variance at that point, I mean, how many times have we rejected that? How many times, I guess you won't have it in front of you, but we have, in the past, this body has provided that variance under that circumstance, where the structure is built, same setback, and we've done that variance over and over again. So the only difference here is that they don't have the structure, right? So, yeah, they can build the building, which is a 2-story home, which I'm glad is being taken advantage of. But then they have to come and do the variance after the fact. So what are we preventing at that point? Are we just saying that, I mean, are we scared that the pool is going to come in first? I mean, it's tough because I get it. I err on the side of bringing as much value to the neighborhoods as possible. So whereas the hardship theoretically exists, and it's more theory, and I'm sure some attorneys would hit on me for erring on this side. I think that I'm going to err on the side of overturning because, we can do it, and I think it might add value to that neighborhood, especially where that property is located. I know that property very well. So I'm in favor of, and I thought about it a lot from last meeting to now, and I was kind of on the fence coming into this meeting and sitting down and hearing the presentation, but I'm leaning towards voting to overturn. Does anyone have any else comments, questions, concerns, or motions?
Well, just to add one more thing too, since this is what was said in the last meeting, a self-imposed hardship, that's where the hang-up was.
Right.
But if this gentleman were to build the house and then sell it to someone, and that person would come in the future
Or himself.
for this, or he himself would come for the variance, it would be granted because the precedence has been set already.
Again, we don't
So-
have to. Let me be very, very clear.
We don't have to, but
Even in that situation, just because there's precedent, it's not like case law. We don't have to grant it. We've done it over and over again, and I would suggest that this body would probably do it again. Knowing who sits on here, and we want to add value to homes, we would probably do it again. But yeah, that's the thing, right? So that's the part that's the little hurdle, but it's not a big enough hurdle for me to sit here and deny it. But that's my piece. I mean, so
no, it's same with me, and you brought up the point that there's no neighbors that oppose this, which is very important because you don't want to interfere with the quality of life of those residents who are living there at the moment. No one opposes it. It's going to be beautiful. There's no safety hazard to the citizens and the community. They built a wall to ensure that.
I have a question.
Go for it, Commissioner.
Mr. Pena, we have another case like this. Something in these distances for the variance. Do we have another case like this? We have a similar variance like this?
We've had similar variances for pools, yes.
We do have it
Yes.
in the city like this. And we don't create any problem with the neighbors, so we don't.
No, sir.
I'll make a motion to overturn the decision of the Planning and Zoning Board.
May I
Okay.
read the resolution, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor?
he got caught in my usual thing. Yeah, read the resolution and then we'll handle this motion.
Item 10B, this is a resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami sustaining/reversing the decision of the Planning and Zoning Board to approve/deny the request of Odalis Martinez and Jose Rodriguez for a variance to construct a pool with 5 feet to the rear and side property line where 10 feet is required at the property located at 5739 Southwest 12th Street, West Miami, Florida, providing for an effective date.
If you put your motion on hold for a second, let me just ask, Mr. Attorney, do you see any problems?
I don't see any problem, sir. As a matter of fact, if you did not approve this, you would be hurting one particular citizen where you have granted the same variance in many other cases, so it will be some sort of discrimination. So I would suggest that the motion be approved as I would say, except that I would add to the motion provider that I would say we hereby reverse the decision of the zoning board and approve the variance as it is.
All right, Commissioner, would you like to amend your motion?
I have a question.
Go, yeah, put your motion on hold for a second. Go ahead, Commissioner. Suarez. Go ahead.
No, Mr. Pena, you said, do they have applied already to present the plans for the house?
No.
But that has to come before us too, because it's a two-story home.
They just
Correct.
expressed their intentions.
That's correct.
They didn't bring any fact about it.
The plans have not been submitted yet, no.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, they're getting a variance. The house has not been built, obviously. It's a two-story home. It's coming before us.
Correct.
To approve, just like all two-story homes are. So at that point, regardless of this variance or not, that two-story home, assuming they go forward with it, would come before us.
If it's two-story, if it's single-story, no, it won't.
Correct. Okay.
The only thing I would like to add to that is that the pool will not get a final until the house is built.
Right.
Repeat that, please, for the record.
The pool will not get a final from us until the house is built.
I got a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Pena. Why is it that why don't they just do it all at once?
It's probably going to be built all at once.
No,
It's
no, no,
just
no, no. I'm saying, why don't they ask for this variance when they present the plans for the special use permit for the second story? Why this
Well,
first?
I can't answer why pull the cart before the horse.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Basically, that's the process they did. They did the variance first, and I'm not sure. You could ask the owner as.
Would the attorney like to answer that?
Yeah.
Mayor, let me a clarification on this. I think what the Public Works Director present is like a condition.
Right.
If we do this, if we okay this, will be subject to, the pool will be the final things until the house is built.
Right, correct.
So will be, Mr. Blanes, will be the condition approval, I mean, the final of the pool will be with the house built.
Right,
More or less what you said.
Yeah,
More
but
or less what you said.
my question is, why isn't this variance presented with the whole project?
Sure.
With the two-story for the special use permit, and you present us the plan of the, of the single-family home, whether single-story or two-story, along with a pool, and consequently, we would like a variance.
It would have to be two separate applications. The variance and the special use are two separate applications.
That's why it's being done
Yes.
this way?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that answers the question, thank you.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. So I'm sorry I put your motion on hold, but if you'd like to make it, go ahead.
I'll make the motion to hereby reverse the decision of the Planning and Zoning Board and approve the variance application for the 5-foot setback in the rear of the property,
And 6 on the.
and 6 on the side.
Is there a second to that motion? If not, I'll pass the gavel to make it.
Did you make a motion with the condition that Mr. Pena said? That the pool would be final with the,
Well, I know that's a
Yeah.
condition. I think that's just reality. That has to.
That's just reality, yeah.
Yeah.
They won't get a final until the house is built.
okay,
I-
you made the motion in that way,
I
that
second,
condition?
I second.
Okay, all right. You second?
We have
Yes.
a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Who made the second?
Vice Mayor Blanes.
Vice Mayor Blanes. So, Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes?
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Alrighty. Well, that took
Thank you all so much.
that
You have
took a while because it was deferred once. We deferred it. They deferred it. We were playing some ping pong, but
Yeah, but thank you all for the consideration. I look forward to, explaining to them the great news, but also look forward to seeing you all in the next year. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And again, Mr. City Attorney, I'll continue to keep you and your family in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. You all have a great evening.
Thank you. Are you, a question for you. Are you going to play Young Santa?
Young Santa, Santa Junior, perhaps, next generation Santa. Yeah, well, all those
we're
are.
having a two-letting coming up. If you wanna,
Well, listen, if you have any
Thank you.
spots open, let me know. You guys have a good evening.
Run
Thank
the book. Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Merry
good night.
Christmas.
Congratulations.
We look forward to seeing you back here for the two-story home.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, would you
Let's
like
go
me to
back to the
proceed?
order of the agenda.
Yes.
Let's go back to the
Yeah.
reports.
Yes, item 7 is the report of the city attorney.
There's no report by the city attorney.
Thank you, sir.
Item 8 is the report of the city engineer. He's not present, so no report.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, I would like for Mr. Penna to give us an update on the DEP Corrective Action Plan. As you recall, we had a warning letter issued from the Department of Environmental Protection
Yes.
on some matters, and I think the commission should be briefed, even though we follow it up with a formal memo.
Yep. Very important. Go ahead, Mr. Penna.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, today we had the conference call with Mr. Marin and also Michelle Bull, who heads the Department of DEP for MPDS, which is regarding our stormwater pollution plan. Basically, they want a detailed standard operation manual of every possibility regarding the maintenance of storm drains within the city and pollution in general. There are new requirements that are coming our way as far as testing of the outfalls that we have to the C3 canal and the C4 canal, and that will be at the city's cost. And we agreed with Mr. Marin and Ms. Bull that we will submit the plan of action going forward within the next 2 weeks. They were fine with that, and they will issue another email regarding the giving us time to complete the standard operating manual from what we used to have to what they want today. We've already uploaded and brochures onto our website that they wish that they provided us with other cities that they've approved. We went ahead and we curtailed those to the city of West Miami and our contact information, and that's where we're at.
So in your call with Ms. Bull, you felt that the city was not going to get hit with a penalty as long as we followed
That's correct. As long as we follow the timeline we provided them, that they didn't see any more enforcement action on their part.
All right, so I guess keep us abreast as that plays out, and hopefully we'll get it all clear soon. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ben on that? No. Nope, perfect. All right, let's continue.
Yes, item 9, committee reports.
Commissioner Chavez, you want to, or anybody else want to share? I know you had a meeting today.
So earlier this evening at 6 p.m., we had our Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting. Madam Manager had a friend of hers named Anna Ramon come out. She's somewhat of a subject matter expert on gym equipment and the setting up of gyms. She's been in that industry for what, I don't want to
At the very
put her
least.
age out there. But
At the very least, I want to say 35 to 40 years.
So she was very knowledgeable. She has a lot of connections in the sense of getting quotes for equipment and setting up the layout of the gym. So we kind of went over the different kind of equipment that we can fit and what would work best for our space. She's going to get back to Madam Manager and keep us abreast of that information. On January 11th, we're going to meet again to discuss all the information that she's gotten for us, and go from there. But at the moment, she did give us certain information or certain opinions on, getting new gym equipment versus pre-owned gym equipment, talking about the different warranties that come with each. So we're going to be discussing that over the coming weeks. The groundbreaking, as we just set up, is on January 18th. Mr. Pena stated that the building will be constructed within a 6-month time period, so we hopefully will have that gym equipment before that, and then in 6 months we'll have a working gym for our city.
Good. Hey, on this point, I hate to go out of order, but I know we're resurfacing the tennis courts, correct, as part of this project, and we are also adding pickleball courts. What's the orientation right now of the tennis courts? I'm not a compass guy.
It faces
Are they north-south? And the pickleball courts will also be north-south?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
good.
once they reconfigure them, the pickleball
East-west.
courts will be east-west.
And there's no way to make them north-south to fit in? The reason being is, I've been playing a little bit recently, and somebody with a subject matter expert has told me that the court should always, ideally, face north-south, so that players don't get sun on their eyes in either direction.
I'll ask the city attorney
Yeah,
to see if he could.
if it's possible to configure it, courts are better than no courts every day of the week. But if it's possible to reconfigure it that way, that would be even more ideal. I thought that I'd bring that up now before I forget.
Mr. Mayor, so the grant we applied for was to get the funds, but the design itself we can play with, right?
Correct.
So
That's done by our city attorney, city engineer, I'm sorry.
Right, just a matter of whether it fits,
because I heard you say city attorney, that's why I
City
thought it
engineer.
was. Okay.
All right, any other committee reports or any questions or concerns on his? Go ahead.
And for the record, from now on, every time there's a recreational committee meeting, the rest of the commission does not need to attend.
Correct.
Is that correct?
I think so.
Correct. Yeah, because
The committees,
we-
they have to be the freedom to get it together.
Exactly.
Right.
The commissioners involved
So
with them.
from now on, no more agenda to the mayor, vice mayor, and the rest of the commission.
that's a good point. Yeah.
The chairperson.
Commissioner Chavez is heading this committee, and he doesn't need any of us there.
Yeah.
He's
It
gonna,
should be
he
that way.
reports to us, and that's the end of it.
That-
Right,
that's
the
a
reason
good clarification.
everyone came to the last meeting was it was a workshop because we were going to be, working on the capital improvements plan. So we wanted everyone's opinion, but from now on, like you stated, the meetings are just going to be the committee.
Commissioner, if you want us for any particular reason,
Correct.
then we'll attend. But from now on,
Mhm.
it's your baby.
Perfect. Thank you.
You should be involved in that.
Yeah.
That's the advisory. They have to get,
Right.
and then they bring to us the advice.
At the end of the day, everything comes to
You should
us.
not get involved in that.
Right, everything comes to us at the end of the day, so we'll have to let the committees be committees, and otherwise, if we're there, we might as well just do it ourselves. So,
If you need us, we'll attend. You just request that.
thank you for that clarification. All right, anything else, or committee reports? Seeing none, unfinished business is already taken care of.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, Next item in new business, item B.
Item 11B, this is a report by the Office of the City Manager and Director of Public Services in reference to emergency AC replacement at the West Miami Recreation Center and request for resolution ratifying the expense by City Manager and Director of Public Services.
Can you just read the resolution already, too? So
Sure.
we'll take it then.
A resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami ratifying the expense in the amount of $19,000 for the replacement of the AC at the City of West Miami Recreation Center as approved by the Office of the City Manager as an emergency item, ratifying the decision to charge that expense to the 572609 capital outlay account, City of West Miami Recreation Center Enterprise Fund, providing for an effective date.
Unfortunately, I was there when this item became a reality. It was election day, and I was out there in front of the recreation center, and they came over and they went into to see the air conditioner. I brought them in, and they told me it was toast. So I was just waiting for this item to come. So please.
Mr. Mayor, Vice
So right now,
Mayor,
we don't have AC in
Commissioners.
the
We did.
recreational?
We did.
We replaced it, sir, but we're bringing it to you for a ratification and explanation as to what occurred.
So we have one and it's functioning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the rec center building, as you know, is built in 2009, so the units that were there are carrier units that are now in their 12th year. They have taken some abuse over the years from kids. At first, they were attracted to there, so the fins on the outside of the compressors, you know how you run your fingers and all of a sudden you make little designs on them and stuff like that? Well, that deteriorates the unit. We have replaced so far 2. There's a 3rd unit that is still hanging in there. Hopefully it'll last the remainder of the year, but early next year we'll be doing the replacement of that one, which is for the offices and the area where the children stay now. But as far as the banquet hall, we had to replace that. We had 2 engagements that weekend that needed had rented the party for events, and we needed to replace the unit without fail.
What the new addition, are we adding a new air conditioner for that, or are they feeding off one of the units?
No, they will have 2 brand-new units.
Okay.
It's that big that it requires 2 additional units.
All right. Anyone have any questions, concerns, comments, motions?
I'll make a motion
Motion, second.
You need it, yeah.
to ratify this.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yes, Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes?
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Patron?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is item 11D, bid tabulation report for the sidewalk repair and replacement project by City Clerk. And my report is that on November 28th, 2022, at 2 p.m., the bids for the West Miami sidewalk repair and replacement project were opened through Demand Start, and 2 bids were received. The first one, Homestead Concrete and Drainage, in the amount of $103,415.19, and from Quick Painting Group Corporation, $469,261.71. That concludes my report.
Okay. Can we read the resolution and then discuss this?
Resolution?
Yeah.
Yes, item 11E, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of West Miami, Florida, accepting the recommendation of the city manager to award RFP 2022-1128-2022 West Miami Sidewalk Repair and Replacement Project to Homestead Concrete and Drainage for the contract amount of $103,415.19, authorizing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to proceed with the project. This project shall be expended from PTP 542 sidewalks line item from fiscal year 2021-2022 and the 2022-2023 budget appropriations, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this is for the work that's going to be done for sidewalk replacement. We actually had, for this bid, we had like 11 or 12 participants. Why only 2 submitted and why they're so far apart, I couldn't tell you. The quantities that we put in compared to other work that we have going on, that's the water project, has similar prices to what they're quoting here at $19.90 per lineal feet and $31 for the other different size of the sidewalks. So their quantities and their prices were reviewed by myself and Mr. Alonso. The Homestead Concrete has worked for us in the past doing sidewalk work, so we know they're a good company to have on board. And as soon as we get this awarded, we'll be able to start replacing the sidewalks that are damaged out there.
So, number one good thing, I mean, I know there's a lot of areas in the city that residents are getting fed up. They've had their sidewalk kind of taped off for a while, and some of them markings have been there for a while, and they've become a hazard in some areas. So this is positive news. The company, this company that we're hiring, this contractor, on the areas where the sidewalk are being lifted by roots, which I'm assuming is most of the damage, are they taking out that root? I mean, what's going on with that?
They have a complete clearing and degrubbing of the area, so they have to clear the root that's in the area of that sidewalk that they tear up, go 12 inches deep, remove everything that's there, any growth, and then compact it and bring it back in.
So I think this is needed, obviously. These sidewalk replacements are needed.
Yes.
So we need to get this done as fast as possible. Going forward, I'd like to discuss, and I know we talked about it recently with the manager, about these different contractors and a different type of bid, right? On sloping over roots, things to avoid taking out the roots because of, additional damage that can happen later on.
That's part of the study that we're having done with the tree.
Correct. Right. So this is very important. We have to get this done. Going forward, I want to continue those discussions because we should make sure we keep an eye on that. Any comments or motions?
So this is citywide?
Yes. This is citywide. And these are, I'm sorry, Commissioner, these are already marked, these are all marked already. We've been waiting on this, right? Correct. Okay,
I vaguely remember a discussion of some rubberized material.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
This isn't that. We were talking about doing a pilot in some areas to see if an asphalt or rubber would, with a paint over it, which would match it to the concrete, would withstand the elements for a while. I still want to pursue that. In fact, I've had conversations with City of Coral Gables where they have contractors come in on certain areas to, obviously they're a tree city, the canopy city, they have more trees than anybody, to do that work. So I'd love to set up Coral Gables with our department and exchange information and see best practices. But either way, frankly, there's not a lot of time to kind of go through experiments. We have really bad sidewalk issues right now, and we got to take care of them.
I have a question
go
for
ahead.
Mr. Pena. Mr. Pena, we have been working with these people, right?
Homestead Concrete, yes, in
With
the
this company.
past.
We have experience. We have a good experience with them.
Yes.
I make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Suarez and a second by Commissioner Chavez. Please call the roll.
Yes, Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote? Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes?
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 11G, report in reference to streets and avenue signs. This is by a request by Vice Mayor Blanes.
Vice Mayor, I know that you're going backwards a little bit now. You lost a sign in front of Publix. So we're going backwards a little bit.
I don't know what's going on, I mean,
Go ahead.
this is
Floor is
a
yours.
project that we've had now for what, 3-4 years, 5 years, I don't know, 6 years? I lost totally track of time. I know that, a few months ago, we had put some out, and all of a sudden, it came to a halt.
Well,
I haven't seen any more being done.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, it's actually 2 years. We started
No,
this.
longer than that.
Sir, we started this prior to COVID, and then during COVID, we stopped because of the spreading of the disease. And then we picked it up right after March of the following year when they allowed us to go back to work without concerns about COVID spreading. And then subsequent to that, the same people that are doing your signs are the same people that are painting the buildings here at City Hall, the same people that paint the rec center every 6 months when it needs it.
I don't want to hear any excuses. It's always the same, and I understand. We have staff that's limited. I just want to know when are we going to proceed and when are we going to finish. That's all I want to hear.
Right now, we have 40 to 50 that are left on the south side of the city, from the indication of the map that you were provided with. And those are the only ones that are left. And we have the majority already printed. However, we do have product availability that takes time sometimes when we run out of different SWs, the terraces, the numbers.
So we have the signs, we don't have the actual street sign.
No, the actual street signs are getting reused. Remember, you decided that we weren't going to go to the different ones, and we decided
Okay, so then what's the holdup?
availability, time, and placement of the placards.
May I chime in? Because I
Sure.
mean,
Go
this was requested for us to produce, and I say us because we work together here. I think realistically speaking, and I think what the vice mayor is looking for is when are we gonna proceed with trying to complete this project? I gotta tell you, as I sit here today, in preparation for the holiday event next week, people are taking vacation at the end of the year, which they have earned. I don't see us restarting this project until the second week of January. Am I-
Let me just stop you there, because I understand the limitations like the vice mayor does, and I understand the frustration on the part of the vice mayor. So I guess all you can really ask for is a realistic timeline, whether it's an answer that he wants to hear or not, right, on the timeline, a realistic timeline on when we think we can actually get this done to completion, right? Even if the number, it doesn't sound great and we come huffing and puffing about, what the time, let's give us a realistic timeline so that we don't come back here every other meeting without any progress, right? I mean, and then,
I don't necessarily need a timeline. I know that for the last couple of months or 3 months, it's come to a halt because I have not seen any progress. That's the reason why this item is on the agenda.
That's correct.
And I understand we're short-staffed. I understand that our guys wear a lot of different hats, and we do have a lot of things going, but, I don't know. I think maybe, it can be managed, it can be arranged, it can be directed maybe, maybe we could do one a week. Can't we get a couple of guys or one guy to go out there and paint the street sign and put the placards on? I mean, what does it take? How long does it take to change those placards and paint the street sign?
If you're going to do a proper job, it takes a full day to service one corner.
One
corner.
Okay, one corner is 4 signs or one sign?
No.
2 signs.
2 signs. 1 day.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because the ones out there are in need of servicing. Before we were creating the new ones and putting new ones out there and getting rid of the old ones.
So what do
The
they?
ones that are out there
What do they
need,
need? They get pressure cleaned.
They
They
get-
get sandblasted. They get.
they get brushed off the old paint, and then they go back out there and they plaster whatever.
The work is done on site.
Yes.
Okay. 'Cause I don't understand how it can take that long, a whole day to do 2 signs?
Yes, sir.
are we going to be replacing the one in front of the Publix?
I'm
Are we
sorry?
going to be replacing the one in front of the Publix that was, I don't know what you call that?
Yes, we have to cast that one because
It was
it's
mutilated.
split in half,
Yeah.
so it has to be cast.
I don't know how that happened.
A car accident.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I would like to see some progress. I would like to see this project finally accomplished, done. I mean, it's,
I would tell you by the end of February.
okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you.
You see, there's a timeline. All right, next item.
I can live with that. That sounds good. We'll see. Let's see what
Then
happens.
next item.
Item 12, consent agenda items, none this evening. Item 13, good of the order.
Anyone for good of the order? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Yeah, this is the last meeting of the year.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's it.